It's a team sport, takes all 53 and all that other syrupy stuff. But at the same time, every once in a while you can look to a single individual and say, this person needs to perform at an extraordinary level for this team to win this game. Good afternoon to you. Good Friday afternoon. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is a new Double Shot show. Happy to have you here. Najee Harris is the guy, or he has to be the guy. And I can say that on a bunch of different levels because Najee didn't have that fifth-year option picked up. He doesn't have an extension. He doesn't have a contract heading into the 2025 season. That was the gamble that the Steelers took, that Omar Khan took, in not taking that option and saying, let's see what you got, or maybe we doubt what you've got, or maybe we don't believe that you can fit within Arthur Smith's offensive scheme or the zone blocking, or however it is that you want to dissect his ability to come up with the rushing yards that you need for the Smith offense to succeed. Well, the Smith offense has to succeed the Smith way in order to beat this particular opponent. The Eagles are really, really good. They sit back with 5 DBs and they still stop your rush because they're so strong up front. The linebackers are so stout. They just don't let teams run on them. But if you're the Steelers and you don't have George Pickens, you have no choice. You have to run on them. And if you have to run on them, then you have to get the very best out of Najee. That fair? I understand he's not, operating in a bubble there. He's got to get the blocking. The line's got to get some kind of push. Jaylen Warren's got to be a good complement, if not necessarily somebody who actually takes the bulk of the carries, as he did against Cleveland. But ultimately, you're going to need both of them going, and that means you're going to need Najee going. And you're going to need Najee to have one of his games where he gets 100 yards. So you say, all right, well, yeah, we've seen Najee get 100 yards. That's not unthinkable. And then I look at his game ledger and I see that he had 100 yards against the Raiders in Las Vegas. They're terrible at stopping the run. And then against the 2 New Jersey teams who are terrible at everything. So what did he do otherwise? If I rattle off his game logs here, these are his yardage totals: 70, 69, 70, 19. That was Indianapolis. 42. That was Dallas. Dark days. 53 against Washington. 63 against Baltimore. 41 against Cleveland. 75 against a terrible Cincinnati defense. Worst defense the Steelers have seen all season. And then 53 against the Browns. So basically what he did was he ran up the score on the Raiders and the 2 New Jersey teams. That's what he did. And if you'll recall at the time, a lot of people, and I was praising him too, because performance is performance. You go out there and you do it, you're going to get a pat on the back. It's the NFL. But there were people at the time going, whoa, they didn't sign him. He's going to be a free agent. What are they going to do? Whatever. This might be why. But you know what? The narrative, or the reality, is his to control and his to change to some extent. He doesn't always see it that way. He talks first and foremost about his blocking in both good times and bad, which is a little bit of a dubious trait. But if he goes out there and has himself, a signature type of game, a statement type of game against Philadelphia, of all teams, and he sets himself up and he gets revving and rolling and all that other stuff, and then he carries it in to the next game against the Ravens, and then he carries it into the Christmas game against the Chiefs. And Chiefs are pretty good defensively, by the way. Not great, but good. That's okay. Pay the man. When we come back, Chris Halleck's going to join us.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Joined now by Chris Halleck. And Chris, man, you know, it's so easy to be seen as negative, and I'm sure we've both been seen that way this week. You know, what are you talking these guys up? Aren't you supposed to be? No, we're not supposed to be. It's just how it is.
It's an 11-2 football team. I don't think there's much.
It's an 11-2 football team in a home stadium with an MVP candidate at running back. That's different.
Yeah, this is, in my opinion, the best running back in the league. He's leading the league in rushing. He's the most dynamic. The dude hurdled a guy backwards. I mean, there's nothing this guy can't do.
This was Minkah Fitzpatrick talking about Saquon Barkley today.
I think what he does everything, whether he's in space, whether he's in the box, whether he's one-on-one with the DB or a linebacker. He does all of that at a high level. He's extremely great feet, high motor. He always knows where the next defender's coming from, which allows him to break tackles and turn small runs into big runs. So he's a really good back, and he's going to be a challenge to stop.
All right, so let's not pretend, Chris, that anything other than Saquon is the chief challenge here. Okay, he is who he is. He's got all kinds of a supporting cast to their credit. The wonderful offensive line they have, Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Hurts picking up an additional 500 yards on the ground this year himself, and everything else that the Eagles bring, right? Okay, who stops him? Like, I want names, because Deshaun Elliott's not going to be out there, and that's a bigger loss, I think, than most people will realize in terms of stopping the run, or at least slowing the run. Do you bring the guy we just saw on our screen closer to the line of scrimmage? Do you say, hey, Minkah, you want to do some of that stuff you were doing when you first got to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, you might have to. It might have to be Minkah from the 2021 season, who pretty much played as an extra linebacker. You want names, it's really going to have to be. I can sit here and list the entire Steelers defense if I need to. It's going to take everybody. It's going to take the entire defensive line. It's going to take the linebackers, Patrick Queen, Landon Roberts, even Peyton Wilson's going to have to get in on the fun. It's going to take a team effort. You can't ask one or two guys to step up and try to take away Saquon Barkley. Cam Hayward himself has said we have to get multiple hats to the guy, and that is the way that they have to do it. They have to make sure that they are trying to do everything they can to possibly swallow every yard that they possibly can up so that Saquon has nowhere to run. It's going to take a full effort.
Now, one thing that Cam has been doing forever and ever and ever is Cam will never put stopping the run on any sort of collective or other group of people. He is stopping the run is on us. It's the buck is right there on the defensive line. And within that, Cam will say, and he repeated it this week, got to get off the blocks, got to get off the blocks, got to get off the blocks. He's a broken record with getting off the blocks. And what that means for anybody who's new to football or whatever is exactly what it sounds like. Somebody's blocking you, get off of him. Don't let them do that to you, okay? Make yourself free. Between Cam and Keanu Benton, I feel comfortable saying that you have two of the best guys in the NFL at getting off their blocks. Why? Because they are both so goofy, upper body strong, freakishly strong, that they can just do like Hulk smash and that person is gone, right?
Yeah.
As a result, they should be more free. And if we're looking for evidence of that, Chris, I got two words for you. Derrick Henry, other than one run.
That's exactly what they did. Like you said, outside of the one run, they did a great job containing him. Even when Lamar Jackson was doing the read options, they were coached up. Don't worry about Lamar. That sounds like the opposite. The opposite of what everybody else is doing. Everybody's so zeroed in on stopping Lamar. They're like, don't worry about Lamar. We are going to make sure Derrick Henry doesn't blow this game up, because they got two game wreckers. We can't take away both, or we can't, we're going to make sure that both of them don't do that. That's exactly what they did. They took Derrick Henry out of that game. He was as much of a non-factor as he's been all season long. They're going to have to try to do the same thing when it comes to stopping Saquon Barkley. Make Jalen Hurts beat you. That's a better you have a better chance of winning if you make Jalen Hurts try to beat you than to let Saquon Barkley beat you, because Saquon will.
Yeah, you have no chance if Saquon's if Saquon's beating you, you've lost this game. Meaning they're going to own everything. They're going to own time of possession. They're going to wear you down physically. They're going to get everything done that they want to get done. And by the way, that also includes defensively, because defensively they'll be fresher, and they're already very, very, very good defensively. Yeah. So if you don't stop Saquon, really, this whole conversation we're having is a moot point. Meaning about everything between these two teams. So they have to do that. I've got two other words for you. Landon Roberts. Why not put Landon into a position where, and that's not to me, that he should be out there for 100% of the snaps, or you don't use Peyton Wilson or whatever else. I'm just saying, get him out there, put him in a role, give him one of those, when Mike Tomlin goes around the building and just wags a finger at one guy, this is your assignment, this is your thing, like he did with Peyton Wilson actually a couple of weeks ago. This is your responsibility. You're going to get this guy this weekend. Why wouldn't he do that with 50 this week? That's why you have a Roberts on your roster. He is, in my opinion, I don't want to say elite run stopper, because he's into his 30s and whatever else. Okay, but maybe he still is. Yeah.
You're not. It's not a far stretch to call him an elite run stopper.
No.
He's one of the better run stopping linebackers in the league, and I think
just a pure run stopper.
Absolutely. And you saw evidence of it against Cleveland last week. Whether he was shooting the gap and tackling the running back for a 4-yard loss on 4th and 1, or he was sending a center flying 5 feet backward, whatever it was, he's able to do it. This is going to be a Mike Tomlin, and listen, Mike Tomlin loves Landon Roberts, and he has ever since his pro day. Like Mike Tomlin has been very, very open about that. So I don't think it's going to take much for Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin just might have to give Landon a look and be like, This is the kind of week that we're glad that you're on our team.
Yeah, it's if you think about the 4th and 1 that Cleveland ran, who was the running back? Was that Ford?
It might have been Ford on that one. I can't honestly.
Yeah, and so the guy. I don't know what kind of scheme that was that the Browns were trying. 4th and 1, you're trying to swing wide, which seems kind of ill-advised, right? So there's a reporter from Cleveland who asked Kevin Stefanski after the game, like, what was the intent there on that 4th and 1? And Stefanski, who had otherwise been really composed and polite through the entire press conference, goes, it wasn't to lose 4 yards. But then, you look at what Landon did. And I've broken that play down more than any others from that game. You look at what Landon did. He sniffed him out. He saw him. He saw the way he was moving. He felt the read. He felt the direction that it was going. And then he carved himself a path to get there as straight a line as possible. I want that guy. I don't want to say spying. People use that term a little too often for how rarely it happens, but I want him focused on Saquon.
He's going to have to be. And like everybody on the South Side, whether it's been in a press conference setting or a formal setting, or I'm just having a random conversation with somebody, the entire focus has been absolutely stopping the run. They are completely zeroed in on stopping Saquon Barkley. It's gonna, like I said earlier, it's gonna take the defensive line, whether they're winning blocks or whether they're taking on 2 blockers, to open up more space for Landon Roberts or Patrick Queen or anybody else to shoot those gaps a little bit easier. It's gonna take a complete team effort. It's not gonna be easy. Everybody pretty much this year has tried to stop the Eagles from running the football, and Saquon's leading the league in rushing, and he might even break Dickerson's record. Who knows? But it's going to take a Herculean task, and that's what's going to have to happen if they're going to win this game.
When we come back, J1Q.
Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different. Help prevent gun accidents, misuse, and theft. Keep firearms safe and secure when not in use. For safe storage options, visit projectchildsafe.org.
Time now for today's J1Q, and if it's Friday, it must be the PEF.
DK, my question this week is a little bit personal to me. So growing up in Lancaster County, fair share of us Steelers fans, but there's definitely more midnight green than there is black and gold. But for the most part, not really any bad blood, more so just us joking around with each other, a friendly rivalry, if you will. But how do the teams feel? I never really thought about that. Based on your experience, is there any sort of bad blood? Is there, just an added sense of wanting to be the best team in the Commonwealth? Or is this just another game they want to go out and win?
The PEF, it's not any of those three things, I think. I do see where there would be some added importance in places like where you are in a central south portion of the state. You're a little closer to Philly, but you happen to be a Steelers fan. I know from sporting events that I've covered at Penn State that it's kind of a big deal there for some of the fans or the students because they'll come in obviously from both ends, and there's going to be some pride over who wins this or that. And from what I've been told when I've been in state college is that there is pretty much a 50-50 split between the teams. For the players, though, which is what you asked about, the players see this as a really big game, and it's got nothing to do with the Eagles being, in the state or anything like that. It's got everything to do with the Eagles just being the Eagles. And they've been that for a while now. They've been a really good team for a while. And they're made up in such a way that, man, I feel guilty. I feel like I'm really putting the Eagles over this week. They almost lost to the Panthers. I don't want to make them sound like they're immortal, okay? But if you look at their roster construction and you look at the image that they have, that they've earned on the field, they're big and mean and tough, and they'll physical you out of the way on both sides of the ball. And that earns you respect. That earns you respect every week that a team has to prepare for them and looks at the film and spends the entire week gushing about how this is going to be won in the trenches and everything else. That's the way the PEF that the Steelers are looking at this. They're looking at an opponent that's 11-2, that you're going into their place, and you're not going to have a whole lot of towel swirling. You're just not. There never is when the Steelers play there. But it's a big game from that standpoint. I wouldn't inflate it in any other way, least of all this 1965 stuff, which is such a ridiculous thing to bring up. Weren't they still wearing leather helmets back then? Come on, you might as well talk about the Steagles from World War II. Look that up if you haven't already. It's an actual word, kind of. Stagles. Appreciate you, the PEF. Appreciate everybody checking out the new Double Shot Show. And we'll be back with another one of these when we come back from the wrong end of the Commonwealth on Monday.